Hello, my name is Heather Augustine, and I am Program Chair for the Sustainable Agriculture Management Program at Cincinnati State, as well as a full-time advisor and instructor within the Landscape Horticulture Department. And what I have today is just a short presentation giving you a little more information about the different majors that we offer within the Landscape Horticulture Department, and also just to go over some of the different types of positions that are very common that our graduates both seek and go on to successfully fill upon graduation. So just so you understand the history of our department a little bit, we've actually been around at Cincinnati State since about the mid-1970s. The Landscape Horticulture program was the first Associate of Applied Business that was on the main Clifton campus, and since then we have added several majors and certificates. Now, before we start going into this, I think most people have heard of the word agriculture, but the word horticulture, though it used to be something that was commonly taught and known at a very young age in this country and throughout the world, has kind of gone out of favor. And if you look at the definition here, I'm going to read it really quickly. Horticulture is the art, technology, and science of plants. It is the food we eat, the landscapes we live and play in, and the environments we thrive in. It is the business of managing and using what we grow while maintaining the health of our soil, air, and water, bettering our communities and our world. And obviously that's a wonderful sentiment, but it is still an amazing career opportunity because of what it is worth. In Ohio alone, and Ohio is one of the main agricultural and horticultural business states in the nation, where it's more than $5 billion annually in the state of Ohio. But if you look at in the United States alone, we're looking at more than $80 billion earned per year. And that is strictly, if we're looking at those numbers, just to clarify, that is strictly the horticulture side. So that would include things like, landscaping, turf management, landscape design, those hardscape patios you see. An interesting note are things like greenhouses and nurseries are oftentimes considered agriculture. But obviously that's still a huge part of our industry. Horticulture, of course, focusing more on not only potential edible plants, but ornamental plants, those beautiful flowers and trees and shrubs you see in gardens and in your landscapes. Agriculture is more specifically looking at growing food crops or crops for fiber. We're also looking at raising animals for food or fiber. Now, going back to the Landscape Horticulture Department, we have 3 Associate of Applied Business degrees. So the Landscape Horticulture, Turfgrass Management, and relatively new, being in the last 10 years, we've added a degree in Sustainable Horticulture. Now, one thing I should point out is that all of our degrees are taught sustainably, but that degree has a more fine-tuned focus on not only looking at things like stormwater management, so all of the flooding issues we're having in our area, how do we use gardens to solve those problems, but also focusing on ecology, habitat restoration, and really working with nature when we're doing our creating our landscape designs. We also have 2 professional certificates. A professional certificate basically means that you will receive a diploma upon graduation, and you will actually be allowed to walk at the commencement for Cincinnati State. We have the Landscape Design Certificate, which is very easily stackable with the Landscape or Sustainable Horticulture Associate of Applied Business degrees. And we also have our Sustainable Agriculture Management Certificate that is focused more on those who are interested in production, with a stronger focus on food production in the urban core. Now, we did mention that we are in the business division at Cincinnati State, which is very unique for a horticulture program. Nationally, most horticulture programs you would find in the humanities and sciences We're proud that we're in business because this is a very lucrative opportunity career-wise. It is a business. As you saw, it's an $80 billion business nationally each year in the United States. We are proud to be one of the colleges that are nationally accredited by the National Association of Landscape Professionals. If you go to the website that you see on the page, there is a bunch of wonderful videos on all the different tracks that you may decide to focus on going into horticulture. There's also a lot of information about different colleges, not just two-year like Cincinnati State, but four-year programs that you might choose to transfer to after completing one of our two-year degree programs. Now, as far as the types of classes you'd be taking, the core associate degree classes, these are classes that you would take for most of the two-year degree programs. Actually, you would take all of these up here for all three, with the exception of turf grass management. That one is not required for the Sustainable Horticulture degree. However, you can add on more than one of these degrees. So let's say you start as a landscape horticulture student, you decide to add on turf, or you add on sustainable. There's only a very small number of degrees that you may add on, you know, less than 7 perhaps, to be able to attain another degree. For agriculture, this is pretty much the entire list here. So there are 12 total classes that you will take to complete your degree. And you can see that in addition to the first list here that goes up to farm ecology, which are single stand classes, meaning there's just one class in each of those topics, there are 3 on-farm production classes, 1 in fall, spring, and summer. So you actually get on-farm experience. There's also 3 core business classes: Accounting 101, there's a marketing elective, and a management elective. Now, if you decide to focus on landscape horticulture specifically or sustainable horticulture specifically, you'll see that there are some additional topics that are specialized to either of those majors. For landscape horticulture, you may take an advanced design course, arboriculture, which is focused on tree science, greenhouse management, irrigation design, or athletic turf management. You may also take CAD design as an elective in the landscape horticulture program. CAD is required for sustainable horticulture, as well as a sustainable design capstone, a course focusing on stormwater management solutions using landscapes, and then you do get an elective that is environmental sciences. And students who would like to learn a little bit about urban agriculture may also select one of the agriculture core courses to sub for that environmental ecology class. The business courses that you'll see kind of across the board for all of the associate degrees are listed here. You do need to take an accounting course, a computer applications course, which can be fulfilled by CAD with the SH degree, business law, and then either a management or a marketing course for the associate degrees. And you must take management or marketing for the certificates. So with we have a lot of wonderful connections with our program. And what's interesting is if you look down this list, almost all of these have, if not all of them, with the exception of maybe some like Disney World, do have full-time staff working there right now that are graduates of our program. And so we have a very rich history in Cincinnati of employers who know the value of what we offer because they've gone through the program themselves, and not only having amazing opportunities for co-op, but also a lot of our students end up going on to get full-time offers upon graduation. We also, because of being in the National Association of Landscape Professionals, have many national connections. We've had students relocate all over the country. We've had students co-op all over the country. That's definitely a possibility if you are looking to temporarily or at a permanent basis relocate. Here you see a list of some of the potential job titles that you might use, things like arborist, landscape manager or designer, irrigation specialist. You could become a golf course superintendent, a landscape crew leader, an urban farmer, plant care expert, consultant, or technician, working in municipal parks, working as a landscape construction specialist, an athletic field manager, or getting into nature education. This really is a pretty small list of what you could go into. And what's really interesting about horticulture and agriculture are that you're learning about plants, you're learning the science of how to grow and care for plants. And so you may decide to start in one of these areas and then switch to something different. And there is going to be a new skill set that you have to learn, but because you're still working with that foundation of plants, you have the knowledge to be successful. So right now, our students, when they are co-oping, are averaging about $15 to $18 per hour. This is what the intro level pay is for our current students in the programs. We have a very high demand for workers. We actually could have 2 or 3 times the number of students we have in the program and still not be able to fill all the job requests that we get. This is one of those fields that is difficult to outsource overseas. It is an essential business, and the employers are very motivated to pay well for highly trained students. The pay will go up, measured with your experience, and not necessarily having to go on to get a higher degree. A 2-year degree, an associate of business in one of these technologies, will land you these pay ranges. And of course, if you do decide to go on and get a 4-year degree, we've had students go on and get a 4-year degree in business because they actually have goals to perhaps go on to manage, move up into a higher management level at one of these large companies, then that's completely obtainable. We do have a relationship with several local colleges. One of the most notable is with Wilmington College, which has a 4-year business degree that you can actually transfer right from our program into and complete that at Cincinnati State. So I mentioned the demand is very strong in this industry, not only for the fact that, you know, parks and landscapes are considered essential. They need to stay clean, safe, and marketable. And so there are going to have to be folks who are trained to know how to take care of those landscapes and those gardens. But we also know right now that food security is an increasing concern in our nation, and so agriculture is once again becoming extremely important. The knowledge of how to grow and sustain, grow food and sustain our communities is very important. And also just looking at basic economics, we know for a fact that an attractive landscape does improve property values. It can actually increase the property value of a residential or commercial landscape by more than 15% when going to sale. And then just looking beyond that, looking beyond the fact that you can make a good living, is just that fulfillment of knowing that you are making a decision of longevity as far as your mental health, your physical health, your emotional health. It's been proven that working with plants does lead to a better overall quality of life. So after all that said, you know, personally myself, when I was younger, I did not even realize that the field of horticulture existed. I will be honest with you. I went on to a 4-year associative or a 4-year Bachelor of Arts program at a big university, Indiana University in Bloomington. I got a bachelor's degree in something that would pretty much, you know, more than not end me up in an office like this. And I did work in a place like this for a little while right out of college. And within pretty much 6 months after graduating, ended up by chance getting a job within the horticulture industry. And a girl I was working with was actually going to Cincinnati State in their landscape horticulture program, and I signed up the next week, and I never looked back. I was 22 years old, 23 years old when that happened, and you know, that's very common. We have a lot of students who went through other programs or maybe thought they were going to go into a different career track, something more typical like what you see here, and end up in our one of our classrooms, end up in our offices, and never look back. I'd much rather have this be my office instead of that kind of classic setting that we saw previously. The Cincinnati Zoo. I mean, imagine going to work and kneeling down in that earth and planting these beautiful flowers and taking care of them, and this being your office every day. Disney World, that's a possibility. We don't have any students, graduates working there full time because we haven't had any of them have an interest in relocating there specifically, but we have had several co-op there and do internships there, and they loved it. We have had several students go on to manage various athletic fields. The Philadelphia Phillies is one that comes to mind, and also, of course, our own Cincinnati Reds and Bengals. We've had students that have worked on those fields as well. This is actually one of our graduates, Josh. He became a full-time arborist. Apologize for that. He became a full-time arborist, and yes, he does get paid to climb trees and take care of them for a living. Also a huge need that, that really doesn't get enough focus, I believe. It's not just the hands-on part of going out and designing and nurturing our landscapes, which is very important, but becoming a scientist, actually solving problems. For example, developing plants that can feed more people, or developing plants that can resist certain types of invasive insects or invasive diseases. We've all heard about the emerald ash borer. We have these scientists that are not only saving these seeds, but researching how to make the plant stronger, to actually make the plant adapt so that we don't have as many losses from these invasive species coming in, as, in a way, the world does get smaller. We also know that landscape design and landscape architecture are very important aspects of what we do. These are actually pictures taken from designs from one of our graduates. You can see his website here, and he has gone on to be extremely successful in the greater Cincinnati area, focusing not only on landscaping, but also doing hardscaping. We also need people to continue the legacy and take that passion a little further and perhaps teach someday. But the teaching could come in the form of being a tour guide at a place like the Crone Conservatory, or working for nature education, being a naturalist, training. These are all really important aspects that we do need people to go into as a career option. And it might be something that you do later on. You may work in the industry, work out in the field for years, and then eventually go on to teach. And a lot of our students have done this as well. And of course, I mentioned agriculture is so important. These are all pictures of our actual agriculture labs. So we actually have an incubator farm that is not very far away. It's about a 10-minute drive from our campus in Clifton, where students actually get to experience 1 year working on an actual business, a working farm. And then also the Sustainable Horticulture degree. And all of these different images highlight some of the important aspects of stormwater management, ways that we prevent flooding, ways that we prevent damage from the flooding that we're seeing now happening from our rivers, the pollution in our water, all the different ways that we can actually stop this happening. Instead of putting a huge pipe in the ground or using what we call gray infrastructure, which is extremely expensive, we can use a garden to achieve a lot of the same goals. And then one of the final things to mention is that we all hear about the plight of the pollinators, that they have a loss of habitat, they have a loss of nectar and food sources to rear their young. And also, when we have less insects, we have less food for our birds and other wildlife. So horticulturists can design and care for gardens to help our pollinators be more successful. To get started, you can go to cincinnatistate.edu/landscapes, or actually use your phone to click on this QR code. In the image here, you can see one of our classes on campus. We had students actually actively planting trees for one of our Arbor Day activities. I really appreciate your time today. If you would like to reach out to me to schedule an appointment to talk more about the program, you can see my name down there, heather.augustine@cincinnatistate.edu. You can also email adm@cincinnatistate.edu for general admissions questions, or go ahead straight to cincinnatistate.edu/admission and apply. Applying is free. If you would like more advice on what specific program you would like to select, please reach out to me. And I have to close this presentation by showing a picture of our 2019 National Collegiate Landscape Competition team. We came in 4th in the nation out of more than 60 colleges and universities. We're very proud of that. We're very proud of our program, of our students, of our graduates, of our co-op employers, and we hope that you will consider a career working in the grain industry, and I hope to meet you soon. Thank you for your time. All right, so hopefully once again, my name is Heather Augustine, and I hope to hear from all of you very soon. My contact information, you can just go to the college's website and go to the faculty search and look up Heather Augustine. My colleague, Mark Deacon, would also be happy to meet with you as well. Thank you.